So there we go. That's a Sur Ron Light Bee MX with the BAC 2000 though. So it went from the MX controller to the X controller, and now a BAC 2000. Okay, and so this here is a Lightspeed 72 volt battery. So the Sur Ron Light Bee comes with a 60 volt battery, which is pretty good. In Hades Omega's opinion, the once you start modding the Light Bee, like with the controller and everything, you'll notice that the battery is the weakest link in the bike. If you overheat it, you know, or it gets too cold, it doesn't want to charge, you know. In my opinion, if you're going to be racing your Light Bee, you need to have two batteries. And I'll talk about racing the Light Bee. The Light Bee, not a very fast bike. It's not the fastest bike out there. You can probably go 47 miles per hour top speed with the X controller, with the stock like gearing and wheels and stuff. But it won't get there very fast, I'll tell you that. I think I took it to the drag strip and we were doing 21s, I think. 21 seconds. Pretty slow, if you ask me. I have not taken it to the track with the BAC 2000 controller or the battery. Currently, I cannot use this battery because I don't have the Electric Race Technologies NXT display. So I'm still waiting on that. So we can use with that display, I can swap between the 72 volt battery and the 60 volt battery. So I wanted to have two batteries for racing is what I wanted. Or just, you know, if I went camping and I had two batteries, I can use both batteries and then charge them both of them at the end of the day. That way I don't have to worry about, you know, charging stuff in between. I think it takes about 3 hours to charge this battery when it's almost fully depleted. So, and that's the charger right there. I'll do a little review on this Sur Ron charger. It has been a very good charger to me. I've had no problems with this charger whatsoever. I think it's a little funky that the cables are like on both sides, but well, one advantage of that is it makes it so you can have the bike a longer distance from the outlet. Also, if you're wondering, I have a 2000 watt small generator there, and this charger works with that generator, so just fine. I've had no problems charging it with that. So when I go camping and there's no power, that's what I use to charge my bike. It's like counterproductive, right, to charge an electric bike with gasoline, but it's a very small gasoline engine. Okay. I finished about. Oh, I have to say, we finished about 75% of the Rubicon with this bike and my other dirt bike. But it was just, you know, it was really tough riding is what I want to say. And the range is what limited me to finishing it. I could have probably finished the whole thing if the bike would have went all the way. I would have done it, you know. So yeah, so it's very lightweight. So because it's lightweight, you can ride it in more difficult terrain, you know, and you don't have to worry about it, you know, getting away from you and stuff, you know. That's why I don't like riding big bikes, you know, because when you do drop them, they're hard to pick up, you know, and they just makes you really tired and worn out. This bike, no problem picking it up. This bike does have a tilt sensor on it, so if you do knock the bike over, it'll kill the power. The Sur Ron Light Bee has a secondary drive and a primary drive. The primary drive is a belt reduction system. So the reason it has this kind of gear reduction system in the front is so you don't have to run a big monster sprocket on the back. So if you look at the Zero bikes have these monster pulleys that's like half the size of the wheel. We don't need to do that because we have this gear reduction system, okay? It makes it more efficient is what it is. So I have not had any problems with the belt. Sometimes it's a little bit noisy, but I haven't done any kind of maintenance on it since I've had it for a whole year. And I have probably done about 1,000 miles on this bike. There's about 1,500 miles on this bike before I installed the BAC 2000 controller. and I'd imagine I probably got more than 2,000 miles on this. But the odometer doesn't work on this bike anymore, so that's the bummer. And then it has a chain drive in the back. Just so there's a jack shaft right there. There's a pulley right here, and it goes to the other side, and that's where your chain is. Okay, I did have a chain come off on me when I was riding it in the mountains. It sucked. I don't know why the master link came off, so you just got to be careful with the master links. That's why I always carry a master link with me. I got one right here on my keychain, so just in case. It's probably not the exact one that's on the bike, but it'll get me home, type of thing, right? I have not had any problems with the chain breaking on me after that, so far so good. For the dirt wheel setup, I do have a primary drive chain. The good thing about this bike is the chains are dirt cheap. They're like $15, $20. I don't even bother to buy an O-ring chain. It's just gonna slow the bike down. That's what supposedly if you do get an O-ring chain for this bike, it makes it quieter though. Okay. And it'll probably last a little bit longer. But well, I don't really care how long it lasts because the chains are like $15, $20, man. If it wears out, you just replace it, you know? It's not hard at all to replace a chain on this bike. It's super duper easy. One of the things about this bike is it uses mountain bike brakes, okay? So you can see here it has hydraulic mountain bike front and rear brakes. They're all right. I haven't had any problems with them. I haven't really faded them a whole lot. I'm not one of those people that don't use the brakes a whole lot, I guess. But I do use the regen. This bike has more powerful regen than it does stock, so I rarely use the brakes. One thing about the mountain bike brakes is they're expensive. They're $20 for the pads. That's about how much a motorcycle brake pad costs. And they don't last that long. They're very small. They're very tiny. I have videos on how to install them and everything, and videos on all that. So if you want to check that out in my playlist. Okay, so Hayes Mega was saying one of the things I don't like about the Sur Ron is it's kind of slow. It's not the fastest bike in the acceleration department. Like I said, 21 seconds. It climbs up. It does hill climbs so slow. Okay, so I did a demo ride on a Cape Calc one day. And I had the Light Bee with me, so I went and did a hill climb with the Calc, and man, it didn't have much problem going up there. It got up there just fine, dude. The Light Bee, it kind of struggles when it gets to the top of the hill, man. I'm telling you. So the Light Bee is just, it's a little underpowered, is what I'm gonna say. It'll get you to where you're going, but it won't get you there very fast. And I also have a KLX 140 dirt bike, and it's slower than that bike. So if I was to put a CC engine size for this bike, I would say it has the equivalent power of a 125cc because I kind of drag race a TTR 125, a Yamaha TTR 125, and we were pretty much neck and neck in the power department. So this has about as much power as a 4-stroke 125cc. Okay, that's a 4-stroke, not a 2-stroke. Yeah, so it's not very fast. I wish it had at least the power of like a 200 or something. That being said, I feel it's a little terrifying riding it pretty fast too. I've had some people say, like, when I take this thing to the Supermoto track, the kart track, and they see me going around the corner, and sometimes they said they can see the swing arm flexing and stuff when I go around the corners and stuff. The bike's it's too light. It's too light and it's not rigid enough is the problem. I don't know how you could make a stiffer swing arm, One of the things that sold me on this bike, though, was the frame. The frame is beautiful. It's a work of art on this bike. When I saw it, I was like, man, it just looks really nice and well made, and it is. It is. I haven't really had too much stuff fail on it. I did get a stuck throttle situation where when I was washing the bike, I got the throttle box wet, and the throttle was stuck open. I let it dry, and then it was fine. So that's one problem I've had with the bike. I don't know if it's a problem with the BAC controller being there or not. I've never had that problem before. So I've had problems with the forks spooging grease before. I don't really know much about downhill mountain bike forks, but I do know that there's a spring in this fork leg right here. Okay, and then you got a damper rod in the other one. So the right one does all the dampening, and the left one does, you know, it has a spring in it. It's the one that holds the bike up. So if you want to adjust your preload on the bike, you got to either add a spacer to here, which I haven't yet, or put a stiffer spring in. I feel I'm 5'10", 175 pounds, and well, I'll tell you this: with the Supermoto wheels, the bike is super low. With the dirt bike wheels, it's a little bit taller. The bike is like, you know, the bike barely fits me. It's actually too small for me. So, but at 175, 180 pounds, it's okay. I'm not too heavy for the bike, I feel. I do notice, you'll notice the limits of the suspension when you ride it off-road hard, really fast. I raced this in the Coyote Creek Sprint Enduro, and there's like, I was trying to go fast in some sections, and like, there was just too many dips and bumps and stuff. The terrain was just too rough for it to go fast, you know, and I would like crash really bad. Like the forks would bottom out. In my opinion, I think it's the forks that are holding it back. I haven't really had any problem with the rear shock. The rear shock works just fine. I think I might be able to tune the forks a little bit, though. I'm not really sure. I've had problems with it, like grease coming out of the seals and everything, but it's not like a traditional motorcycle fork that's filled with fluid. It's just got grease and a spring in there. That's it. But one of these days, I'm probably going to have to pull that spring out and see what's in there, and then see if the grease is still in there. We might have to re-grease everything again. So that being said, the fork is not the best part of the bike. In the really rough terrain, it's not very good. But I have taken it on the motocross track, and it is a lot of fun to ride this on the motocross track. It's so fun to jump it because it's so light. It'll just go flying, you know, and it doesn't feel intimidating to jump the bike a lot because it's so light, you know, and it's just a whole lot of fun on a motocross track. So with this 72-volt battery, I wonder how much more fun it would be at the motocross track. Geez, you'll be able to get some crazy air on it. And I've been able to get a lot of air on it, and I haven't been able to break anything on the bike. I haven't broke anything on the bike. Not one thing I do notice is the spokes. Well, from time to time will get loose. That's one thing. If you put a lot of miles on your bike, you need to check the spokes often because they're always getting loose. Is what I notice. I always have to go there and tighten them. You know, that's one of the annoying things about the wheels. It used to happen on the dirt wheels a lot, but it's kind of happening more on the Sur Ron wheels. So that's just the way they are. Like on the motorcycles, I never tighten the spokes; they're always fine, you know. So I just the spokes just aren't heavy duty enough on these bikes. That's what I want to say. I haven't had any problems with cracking wheels or bending rims or anything. So far they're okay. I've got a couple dings on this one here from doing rocks and stuff, enduro stuff. But I haven't had any cracks or anything. So far it's been able to take everything Hades Omega can throw at it. And I'm telling you, I have put this bike through the ringer, you know. And I'm still having a lot of fun with it. So one of my biggest gripes, like I said, is the power. I wish I had more power. So that's why I got this 72-volt battery, but I can't use it yet. So check for like a future video on the 72-volt powered Sur Ron Light Bee with the BSC 2000 controller. Like I said, it's a little bit faster with that controller, but not that much faster. But I do like it for the regen. I think, or the regen throttle, it makes it perfect, you know, for just going around the city, you know. You don't have to burn up your brake pads all the time, you know. Now, that being said, the X controller did have some regen, but not a whole lot. I've become spoiled with the regen on this bike now, so it works really good. So yeah, and another thing one thing I would improve on the bike is the seat too. The seat is not very comfortable. Basically, the seat will last you until the battery will be drained. is drained all the way. 30, 40 miles, and then my butt is like, cannot handle this seat anymore. It's like you're sitting on a piece of plywood, you know. The seat is just not very comfortable on this bike. You know, as a dirt bike, if you're just going to be, you know, riding it on the trails and stuff and not sitting down all the time, it's okay, you know. But if you're going to be riding around the city and stuff, it's horrible. It's so painful at the end of the day when I'm done riding with it, man. That's why I put this seat cover on it. This seat cover helps a little bit. I'd imagine I could probably get a better seat cover for it. Ultimately, I think a custom-made seat will probably be what would be more handy. I don't want to make it a seat. The seat is so narrow, but then having the seat narrow like that it helps for riding it like in dirt biking. You know, you can get the bike to turn over a lot easier if you don't have a wide seat. I learned that with this bike, the DR650, because I have a wide seat for my other DR650, and it's harder to turn the bike. It's harder to move around on the bike with a wide seat. A wide seat is for sitting down. It's not for, like, you know, hanging off the pegs and stuff, or, you know, standing up. That's why you see a lot of the dirt bikes, they're really narrow. So, and this bike is really narrow. It's only 125 pounds, so it's really easy to pick up too. It's a good bike for kids to ride. You know, I took it to a bike party, and the kids were like drooling all over it, man. I let a couple of them ride it, and man, they looked like they were having so much fun. One of them asked, "Can I do a burnout with it?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead, do a burnout for 10 seconds." It was really cool, and it does do burnouts pretty easily. That's what I'm gonna say. So yeah. So there you go. That's my 1 year review of the Sur Ron Light Bee. That's my story about how I got it. The kind of stuff that I've been putting it through. I've been riding it up and down the Toge Road around here, Sierra Road, and it it gets up there okay. I wish it was a little bit faster, but I'm working on that. Potentially, I'm looking at the Stormbee, okay? I'm looking, the Stormbee is coming out this year, and I got my eye on it, man, because I rode that cake bike, and I like the cake bike. I think the cake strikes a good middle ground, but it's very expensive. Like I said, you ain't gonna find another electric dirt bike for this much money, man. This is your best value right here, $4,000. It's got the least barrier to entry is what I'm gonna say, man. So yeah, you can't really go wrong with it, and it's very cheap to own because I have it registered as a moped, but some people, they just use it as an e-bike. They just ride it in the bike lane, all the time and pretend it's an e-bike, or some of them even put there's a pedal kit for this, and they put pedals on it, and you can kind of pretend it's like a big e-bike, but I've been riding it for a whole year, and I've been riding it on the street a whole lot lately, and the police have never stopped me for it. The police have never stopped me at all. They're never asking, hey, what's that? Or oh, you're going faster and blah, blah, blah. Or I would think it would look a little funny with this dude wearing full moto gear, riding in the bike lane with this little bike. So that's why I bought an open face helmet. So it looks like I'm more like I'm riding a scooter. So that's what I said. So, yeah, riding it around the city is nice. This will get me anywhere around the area of San Jose where I live, and to the surrounding areas, and just fine. It doesn't have enough power to go on the freeway, but, with all the traffic and stuff, going in the bike lane is just as fast as, thing. But yeah, that's the one drawback. You can't use it on the freeway. It's not fast enough. Maybe with that, but I still wouldn't do it for long periods of time, So you'll get 30 to 40 miles. You get 40 miles if you stick to the bike lanes at 25 miles per hour, I've noticed. If you're just ripping around on the street, you might be able to sneak out 30 miles out of it. Going to speeds at 30, 40 miles an hour, It's a little bit noisy, I'll tell you that. It's a lot noisier at night than it is in the daytime because it has that chain. If you buy the Lunicycle's belt conversion, it's a lot quieter. I think if you were going to ride this thing on the street all the time and didn't care about gearing, I think go with the belt. It's a lot less maintenance. At least I think it is a lot less maintenance, But installing the belt is a pain in the ass. You have to take the swing arm off in there. It's like the whole, it's like what you have to deal with a Harley Davidson or a Zero motorcycle, But it's a lot quieter. It's lower maintenance. You don't have to lube it or anything. So I think if you're going to be a city urban warrior on the Light Bee, that's the way to go, man. You don't have to do any kind of maintenance on it. Maybe you have to tighten it every once in a while, but that's it. So one thing that the Light Bee lacks in lighting is reflectors. It doesn't come with any reflectors. At least my bike didn't come with any reflectors. If you look at a motorcycle, they have reflectors on the side. They have reflectors on the back. The Light Bee doesn't have anything like that, you know. Even bicycles have reflectors. There's no reflectors. There's a light in the back, so that's about it. There's a light here, and it does come with the headlight. This is not the stock headlight for the Light Bee. I think the stock headlight for the Light Bee is like, it goes up here or something. You can also buy a bigger one from Unicycle. I think it's a little bit bigger than this one. It's very similar to this one, though. The previous owner installed this. I don't know where they got this from. I like this a whole lot. This works really good. It has a special mount on it, too. I don't want to get rid of that. Yeah, but there's no reflectors on the side of the bike, so that's the weird thing, you know. Now you can see these from the side though, and that's why I put that reflective tape on the rim so people can see me if I'm riding at night. You know, it works as a reflector, and it works pretty good. And then you got a light for the back and a light for the front, so you got all your sides covered, you know. So that's one of my complaints. There's no reflectors on the side of the bike, and it's a black bike, so it's really hard to see at night. So. One thing nice about the Light Bee also is a removable battery. You can take this, you can flip this lid up, flip the lid up here and pull the battery out, you know, after you disconnect it. And then you can pull it out, you know, if you're transporting the bike, or, you know, you want to take the battery indoors and leave the bike outdoors and charge it, you know, whatever. You can take the battery out. One thing I noticed is the battery does not charge under 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you get the battery hotter than like 100 degrees, I think, like somewhere around 100 degrees, it will not charge anymore because the battery is too hot. The BMS is trying to protect it. So if you live in some place really hot or really cold, that may be a problem for you. Hades Omega lives in a place that doesn't have really extreme weather, but I did take it to a place with extreme weather, and that's what I encountered. The battery got so cold that I was not able to charge it, and I had to heat it up with the heater in my van and put a blanket around it to get it to warm the battery up enough where I could charge it. So that's a little something you can do. It's a total waste of gasoline if you ask me, but well, yeah. So I've had a whole lot of fun with this bike the whole year. That's my story. That's my review. I like it. It's the best bang for your buck in an electric dirt bike, you know, and it's really cheap to own because the registration and all that, you don't even have to register it, you know. And you can take it like it's, let's say, you know, if you were to compare it to like a Grom, well, you could ride this in a lot more places than you could ride a Grom, that's for sure. And I've ridden this thing up in stairs, and you know, just riding it around the city and going over parking blocks and curbs and doing all this crazy shenanigans on it, you know, and you know, you don't really look like a hooligan on it because it looks kind of like a bicycle. So you can get away with a lot more stuff that you can't get away with on a motorcycle, you know, like if you rode it on the sidewalk for a little while, I don't think anybody would really care for a little bit, you know, or if you parked it in front of a store or something for a while, you know, to go inside and get something. One thing I don't like about this bike is it is under 25 pounds. It's easier to steal than a motorcycle, but it's harder to steal than a bicycle. It's got an ignition, but, you know, I would recommend if you're going to take it somewhere, you know, lock it up at a bike rack, okay? Where I lock it up is I use a U-lock and I lock it up around here. Now, if I'm going to if I'm not going to be out for very long, I will use a disc lock. I have a disc lock, so that just keeps the bike from rolling away, okay? Or you can put a lock around the sprocket. That would help too. Or you can do both of them. There's nothing to stop the front from moving away unless you have one of those locks that clamps onto the brake lever, which I don't have. So, but the best thing to do is lock it up to something that doesn't move. It's not very hard to get a pickup truck and pick this thing up and throw it in the back. It won't take long to grab it. So if you're going to be somewhere for a while and you're going to have your eyes off the bike, you better lock it up to a bike rack. That's what I say. So it's easier to steal than a motorcycle. I wouldn't do that with the motorcycle, you know. Maybe I would put like a disc lock. That's about it, you know. If they want to steal your bike bad enough, they're going to steal your bike. So, oh yeah, these are the locks right here that I use. This is the one I use on the sprocket. This is the one I use on the disc. And then I have a bicycle U-lock that I use to lock it up to a bike rack. So this is the best in my opinion. Or use this and a disc lock. Yeah, that's even better combination, but you have to carry more crap with these. Another thing is the Sur Ron Light Bee doesn't have any kind of storage anywhere on the bike. Maybe you can flip the lid and like hide something under here, but that's about it, you know. There's not any kind of storage on the bike, so That's one of the bummers. It would be nice if they had made some like panniers for the bike or something, but they don't have anything like that. I'm sure you could make something like I've seen some stuff that some people have made, so you can make some of that stuff. But it would have been nice if they did make some stuff to make it more utilitarian, is what I want to say. Like a basket, make a basket for the front, you know. I don't know, something. But there is nothing. This is what I use when I do deliveries with the bike, a delivery backpack, and this works great. So, okay, yeah. So yeah, it is easy bike to steal. So make sure you lock your Sur Ron up. But it's harder to steal than the bicycle. So that's why I would say if you're just going to be in and out, use a disc lock. You know. Yeah. So there it is. So after a year of ownership, I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep the bike. You know, it's a great bike to have around. It's cheaper to operate than a motorcycle. I'll tell you that. The motorcycle, I have to pay like $140 a year to register in California. Then I have to pay insurance. The insurance really isn't that much. It's actually cheaper than the Light Bee's insurance because I can't find cheap insurance for the Light Bee. So yeah, I haven't had any problem with the wheel bearings at all. Like I said, this bike probably has more than 2,000 miles on it now. I don't have a really accurate count because the BSA 2000 doesn't take my odometer reading anymore.